I think he's quiet.
Testing, testing, testing.
Oh,
Can
I
you
can
guys
hear
hear
you
me?
now.
Oh, nice.
There you
I
are.
start panicking. Guys, welcome to what is this show? TA Talk. I mean, too many
It's
shows.
something, man. It's something. You know, one of
Yeah.
those shows.
Absolutely. So, welcome to TA Talk, guys. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a little bit of the macro setup in here, and also Q&A of whatever you guys want us to ask us, and of course, a little bit of overview of the crypto space. By the way, guys, this is not crypto exclusive. If you want any other ticker, any other asset, any other commodity, or any other thing that is located with it or can be found on TradingView, let us know. Just need to type it, and we're more gladly we're going to be taking a look at it. But other than that, how was your morning, my friend?
It was slow, man. Obviously we rolled over, we dumped, we liquidity grabbed, we V-shaped recovery. We're pretty much where we started this morning. I shorted, I longed, and I'm in no trade now. So I didn't take that big sweep into the liquidity down below. It just wasn't my type of trade, man. It was just a little bit quick. Not one of my key levels, so I typically try to stay away from. If I don't have a key level there, I typically don't take the trade. And obviously, you look at it now and you wish you got long, but uh, I'm up like 300 today, so it's a good
Oh,
day.
nice.
Still a good day, right? I mean, I made 3,100 yesterday, so I'm pretty happy. Uh, so you know, no, I don't want to. The thing is, when you have a really good day, you don't want to be greedy. I think that's the thing, because it's very easy to get caught in that, like, I'm untouchable, and then the market will rug you, right? So slow and steady, small wins, small losses, big wins, small losses, right? If we're looking at the markets right now, we can go over that a little bit for you guys, and we can talk about the trading, but really, what was on my I guess my interest this morning would be, we are flagging out, and like any flagging out here, you can see that we did come to the lows of the range, right? So now we got the perfect trend line. Okay, so which was a 786 bounce. So if we go from low to high here, we have a 786 bounce within that area. Okay, and a push back into the range. Okay, we also had a bit of an inverse head and shoulder, or a head and shoulders pattern in here. Okay, that I guess it played out and it has bounced. Now we're back trading within here. So really, the thesis for me is, as long as we hold these lows, we're still bullish. Okay. The scary part is if we do, and I'll copy it here because I've done this all. If we do something like this, you know, you guys will cry, right? We'll all cry. We can all cry together, right? If we get a head and shoulders and that plays out here. Okay, so be prepared for that. We're not there yet, but always be prepared for downside just in case, right? Downside just in case. I would have liked to see a sweep into the low here, the fake out and go. That would have been ideal. I would have liked to see this continue to rip down. Clearly, right now there's buyers coming in. So there's no reason to kind of assume that we're going down aggressively. We had the news data this morning that did bring us down a little bit, came in a little bit under. But you can see the amount of support we have at this level, right? We can see that the point of control here at 104, basically 104, and the big volume node in here holding us up. Okay, so holding that level, pushing back up is quite bullish. The area we gave you yesterday, or at least I gave you my area, was the pink box. And guess what we did last night? We hit the pink box perfectly, and then we got rejected again. All right, so we've made lots of money off this pink box. We also took the long yesterday from here, Okay. We've since rugged here. This is your head and shoulders here. Okay, you can see that's rolled over. Now we have since broken down. Could this be a retesting continuation? I like to think that now we have some strength in here, that we have pushed back into the range. So me typically treating this like a range, we have swept the lows of the range. Like I said, I wanted to see at least this liquidity swept here, but what this low does, it does give us a string of higher lows, right? So it does suggest continuation to the upside. So if we're looking at this, we have pretty much a channel in here, and we're at the lower part of the channel. We should look to rotate back up to our pink box. Pink box is just a retest of the previous lows in here and the golden pocket from swing high to swing low. And the value area high right now within this range. So lots of confluence up there. That's the kind of 106 is the level to 106.5 is the level to flip and push out of. Okay? This is our hot dog bun, right? We got our bun here, we got our bun here, right? And our hot dog in here. Whether you want to trade in here is up to you, but this is where we typically want to look for trades if we're isolating price. Going over to the short-term time frames, we can talk about the trades this morning on the 3-minute time frame, which is what I tend to trade every morning. And we had this breakdown. So the short was the trade here, right? So what happens, right? We have that head and shoulders. That's the top, rejection, right? And this morning I took I rushed along right here. And I got stopped out for a $70 break-even trade. Then I took another long here. I made $140. And then I took a short here, and I made another $160. Then we saw the V-shaped recovery. I was considering going long in here. Very slow, and I was having breakfast with my family, so I decided to not take a trade. Right now, we are currently tapping VWAP, basically where we started this morning, right? So we've come back. We're right back where we started. So what happens for the rest of the day? Do we get that continuation? Do we get some chop in here, right? I mean, a lot of liquidity in here. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back for some of this order block in here and then go. But a nice push back, I guess you would say. I guess it was a short here. Trade setup that I do typically teach, especially in here, is if we're looking at this, right? One of the trade setups that I take quite often, okay? And it all starts with this, okay? So understanding, okay, this is short-term time frame stuff, that when we're looking to take a trade, we want to be aligned with the trend. So we have, this is an uptrend. We're coming up into this trend, right? So we break structure here, okay? But on a higher term time frame, we really break structure right here. Okay, so this is where the real break happens, the change in character that we can identify. Okay, so this is what we really want to identify, is that on a higher term time frame, we go on like an hourly or a half hour or whatever. We can see that this is an uptrend, right? And then we break here. Okay, that's exactly where I was pointing, right here. That's where we break. So it's always important to use higher term time frames to confirm your lower term time frame bias. So what does this break allow us to do? It says, let's look for shorts, dummy, because we have changed direction. Okay, that's exactly what it should tell you, and that's exactly how you should trade it. Now, a trade that I typically take is an order block retest. So there's a bunch of ways to get into a trend that has already taken off. So it's gone down, it's gone down, it's gone down. One of my favorite trades is a retest of previous lows if we're going to go short here. Okay. Another one is if we have an order block within here. Okay. If we have an order block within here, my strategy is a retest continuation trade. So at the top of the order, at the first part of the order block, so the first start of the box, you're looking to go long, and the closest high is where your stop loss goes above. Okay, so this is a trade setup that I take a lot of the time for continuation trades. Okay, so we've missed the move down here, all the way down here. We're looking for a retest continuation down with trend. It's a trade I typically take. So going back to what I was talking about in the example here, so price is here this morning, right? We got triple bottom in here, right? Boop, boop, boop. But what do we have? Where's our order block? Friends, you can see it, right? Fair value gaps, but we can really see our order blocks in here. Okay? So we know, if we're using Alexo's strategy, that we should be looking here, stop loss above the closest high, right? Which would be here, right? This would be our closest high in this area. So if we're looking in here, right? If we have an order block here, this is our collection of price action. I'm saying the highest high within that cluster, which is right here. Okay? Sometimes you'll have a wick in this cluster that will go higher than that. That's where your stop loss goes. It must go above this, whatever that wick, whatever that high is of that general cluster, right? Okay, so that's the strategy. You must be following that rule in order to be profitable with this strategy, okay? So we wait, and price, does its thing here. Boom, you're in the trade, right? You're still in the trade. And look at that, right? You make lots of money. Now, that's one of my trade setups, and obviously you want to target at least a 3-to-1. So in the opposite direction, looking here, right? And we use our order block tool right now, and we're absolutely flying, getting above VWAP, pushing up right now. But you can see order block retest in here, order block retest in here. So if you're taking a long now, because we have changed structure, right? We've taken the high. It would be here. Your stop loss would be below this low here. And you'd be looking to target a 3-to-1. Okay? These are just little tricks that I use in order to get into, like, you're not going to get long up here. You're going to be buying the top. Okay? So you want to wait for the retracement and then the continuation. I just got a new one, right? VWAP slap, continuation trade as well. Okay, so this is something I do. So yeah, I took the long here. I bought the top. I got a little bit ambitious this morning. I thought we were going to get continuation. What happened with this trade though, for me, like I got out $70, and that's like nothing for me. That's like a break-even trade. I put stop loss to entry almost immediately because I wanted to see this thing go. It was a continuation breakout trade. Didn't get the breakout. Got stopped out for a $70 loss. Was able to re-enter here, pay myself and make money. Was able to flip short. And this is all hindsight. I should have taken the short here. Okay? But I took the short here after we broke the lows. Continuation trade. Easy money. Okay? And now we have V-shaped recovery into an area that I didn't like, and then continuation up here. So price is running away right now. Beautiful, beautiful long. If you did take it, congratulations. For now, we'll see if we do get acceptance back into this range, kind of banging our heads here on some resistance. So do we continue to push or not? We'll have to wait and see. Right now we're flipping orb. It's pretty bullish. Open range breakout. Retest continuation. So looking strong right now for Bitcoin. We'll see if it does want to continue to push up. Nice liquidity sweep coming into our liquidity and pushing up. So target is 106. Trying to get to 106 again. We got a couple pivots at 109 and stuff. If we do get a good push today, it's hump day. So be safe, trade safe. News doesn't seem to really be affecting, like we dumped on the news and now we're right back to where we started. You can see the NASDAQ's pushing as well. The S&P opened up bullish this morning. You could see the S&P the big gap this morning and the push, recovered the gap, and continuation higher lows all the way through. So bullish day so far, even with the V-shaped recovery coming in quite aggressively here. The market has not only come back to where we were starting our trading day, but it has pushed above that, right? So now what do? We pull swing high to swing low. We can see that we're hitting our golden pocket, 786 retracement level. So this is going to be our first level of like really clear resistance that we're coming into right now. We'll see how price reacts here. Typically in this area here, we're looking for some sort of retracement in here and continuation up now that we've taken this high. So a little bit of patience on the short-term time frames. Big resistance in front of us up here. So let's just be patient and let price come to us. For me right now, no trade. If we do get a nice retracement in here somewhere with some good confluence, I probably will get long today, but we'll have to wait and see. What are you looking at, OC? Are you still bearish?
Wait and see. I'm already long, my friend. Wait, let me change this because for some reason the recording got stuck. I don't know why. Nonetheless, let me show you what I got. And also I see a new member that has some questions. After that, I'm going to go over those questions. By the way, we have it. All that you're requesting is on important classes and also on the class recordings. Nonetheless, I'll give you kind of like a heads up on that. 1 second. So I just refresh. Here it is. Perfect. The recorded thing. All right. Let's take a look at what I'm looking at. So share your screen. I actually thought that this was not going to play it out for me, despite I was looking like a possible entry. Yesterday, we talked about exactly what you mentioned. By the way, guys, I want to make sure that you understand
I can't
that
believe you're long. You didn't tell me to go long. I'm actually upset with you, man.
Why, bro? Why? I'll send you
quit.
more coffee. What? He's out. Oh, he just heard coffee. He went back in. Love it. No, man. It was yesterday night. You were not around. I was waiting for you. All right. So the point it is that I want you guys to notice that this is the 4 hour, right? Alex was looking at lower time frames, but also he went over to the 4 hour. This is something very, very, very important, which is it looks like we're flagging out. This is a bear flag. Usually that bear flag tends to break to the downside, but that is not the full story. How do we know that this is not a flat area of support? Something like, I don't know, like, where is it? Not this flag specifically, but maybe this flag that is pointing downwards and then moving to the upside. Well, that is a bull flag. Let me find something. All right, how do we know this is not something like that, right? When we're coming down, we flag out, we made something else, and then we pump up, right? Well, then we need to wait and see. The truth of the matter is that we still don't know. It actually looks like a beautiful, almost perfect flag, so we need to be very, very cautious. If we zoom out, we'll see that we have some manual things being drawn in here. One of those things, it is this trend line in here. This trend line measures my trend. The trend is broken. It's not about the breakout. It's about the retest. For me, the retest is a little bit higher up, right? And then off we go to the downside. So if we're going to be reversing, I believe that we need to move just slightly bit more to the upside. Nonetheless, why did we take a long yesterday? I'm going to be showing you that long in a minute. It is because we're still riding on the dynamic reactor. We're still riding on that trend line. And I believe I know where to find that actual... There it is. How do we know that it's not going to be something like that, right? Where we ride and then keep going upwards. So we're still riding up on a support, and look at our prime score is very bullish, and our consolidation score, it's about to break. So 9, highly consolidating, a 9 out of 10. So we're absolutely consolidating. We can see that consolidation, but also 9, it is almost at the end of the consolidation, which means we are about to break that consolidation. All right. So another thing that I see here, and let's go and let's go over that. So let's go to this setup. Yeah, open anyway. And also right here, let's go to Bitcoin. This is our long from yesterday night, right? On trading with OC. Why do we decided to go long in here? Because we were expecting a support somewhere around this area. Remember, this was half of a position. half of a position right here, and another half of a position in here in case we have this sweep of the lows. What was going to happen in this case? If I enter here and then right here, where is the center of my entry? That's what is going to be lowering my entry down to, right? So my entry point is going to be somewhere around there. If the price action actually went all the way down here. As you can see, that was part of the plan in case we have a breakout for the flag, breakout retest, you get out at profits, and then you head switch, and off we go to the downside, all right? Nonetheless, we are on support. We were on support. Here is the 1 hour, but we were looking at the 4 hour. Here it is. We were at support. Let me zoom in. Right? We have a trend line that so far is being respected, and our TP number 1, it's this previous high, TP number 2, and the rest is trailing. In case we trail, because this is also a megaphone, right? So as you can see, TP number 2 is basically at the top of that range. So far, yesterday we were a little bit underwater. Today in the morning, we were a little bit underwater. And right now it's turning back around with that half of a position. So far it's playing out. If you are still on this trade, or if you did took this trade, congratulations to you, because you're the one that clicks buy and sell, right? You're the one that takes the risk, right? You're not just here to listen the guy on YouTube or the guy right here in front of you, but you do your due diligence, right? At this point, we're aiming for a TP number 1 at 105, and then maybe TP number 2 at 107, 900, 108-ish, right? That's why I went long, because we have a big support. We are still above the zero line. This is in response to you, AGCT. Remember what Dagan mentioned, over the zero line, mostly bullish. So if you're looking in here and you have your zero line, and to add your zero line, just so you know, you go to settings, you go to style, you go all the way down, you see your zero line, and that's your zero line. In case that you're using the plus, this one here, let me just change it back so you can see it exactly. Click OK. Let me wait for that little eye to start moving around. In case you see it, you already have your zero line. Let me zoom in so you can see it. This is your zero line right there. You see that one? Right there. This is your zero line that goes across everything. If this is too transparent, if this is too faint, just go to the horizontal, click anywhere, and by anywhere I mean anywhere, double click on that line, go to your coordinates, do 0, click OK, right click on it, and then lock it so it doesn't move, all right? That way you are painting over a new zero line on top of it. So as long as your oscillator it's above the zero line, you're mostly bullish. Let me show you that, for example. And let's go to the other one that is a little bit less clutter, which is basically the same. So let's, for example, find the holes. Or for my brain is faster or much better to find empty spaces. Don't know why. If for you is finding where things are cluttered, do that, right? But for me, my brain can find this empty hole in here. From this peak to this peak, there's an emptiness, right? There's a hole. Why? Because most of the ribbon, it's bunching up above your zero line. Just a little bit of those retracement going through. But the bulk of it, it is above your zero line. What happens as we broke above, we stood above, right, until here? What happened to your price action? As the ribbon stayed above, your price action kept moving upwards. So one of your question was, how do you trade? However you want. I know you were waiting for a specific answer, but the most closest to an answer I can give you is whatever makes sense to you. This is how I do it. I wait for the price action to break through, right? Or to retrace, especially retrace. It's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. And then I look for a flip of the ribbon very closely to the zero line or slightly passing the zero line. That is my re-entry, especially when I'm in a flat positive bullish continuation, which is just a range. It's just a fancy word to say a range that's going to break to the upside, right? So if I'm in one of those, what do I do in a range? I buy low, I sell high, right? And I look for flip of the ribbons to buy low and sell high. All right. So the same thing here. For example, we are into a range, and this is, I think, the perfect example. All right. Let me clear this up so nothing is interfering here. We are, since here we broke above the zero line. That means a lot. Since here, I mean, I know all the way till here since we have the reversal and bullish divergence. But if we're just talking about the oscillator right here and the price action breakout, it's not about your breakout, it's about your retest. I was on the retest above the zero line. Yes, it was on the red or slightly red, but I'm expecting to have a flip of the ribbon. I decided to front run the flip of the ribbon, all right, in this specific case. Why? Because we were on the dynamic reactor. For me, dynamic reactor is one of the strongest areas to long. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go to Valhalla. That doesn't mean that I'm going to crash the moon above my head, right? This is not a missile to be launched. This is just an entry that you need to set your stop loss, set your targets, and then leave a portion of it to trail it to the upside, if that makes sense. So what are we talking about? I read something about 5 a.m. Oh, he's talking about Runier. Is Runier here? I don't see him. All right, I'm just getting thrown away from it. All right. So far, another thing that we're looking at, it is FR flip of the ribbon. Love it. All right, so another thing is looking at the macro markets, market structures, right? Let's go to a less cluttered thing in here, right? What is my macro structure? It's very easy. Look for your support and resistances, right? In this case, I'm looking for my trend. What is my trend? Easy peasy, my dynamic reactor, right? If you want to do your manual trend, which I also advise you to do, so I advise you to learn trading, basic trading, and then add your indicators on top of it. There's going to be making it so much overpower, right? So when is your trend over? Not here, but right there when the trend line is broken. Your trend is over when your trend line is broken, and this is your trend line being broken. Remember what I always tell you, it's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. I'm trying to long this retest and then maybe short the off we go. Something important to note. Remember that we talked about flat areas of bullish continuation, which is just a fancy word, or a flat pause of bullish continuation, which is just a fancy word to say a range that breaks to the upside. Let's go back in time, and I have explained this, so go watch the class recordings or take a look at my YouTube channel. Look at, for example, this trend line in here. This trend line was broken. It's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. This is what I'm trying to trade right now. And then what happens? We have the rejection, what I'm going to be trying to trade up next, right? And what does that create? That creates a flat pause of bullish continuation. How do we know that's going to be it? We don't. But if you take your cheat code in here, for example, you know about Wyckoff or something like that. Let's just take a look at Wyckoff. And how do you learn that? You learn it from here, from the classes. This is where we mash up trading knowledge, indicators, and real action in the charts, right? So you go here, you take a look at here, and what is this? It's going downwards, a V-shaped recovery, right? What happens? So let me tell you how it goes for me. Going down, leader range, V-shaped recovery, high, not higher than the previous range. That gives me 70% chances of ranging, right? If I invert this, what do I get? Coming down, leader range, V-shaped recovery, high, not higher than the previous range. That gives me 70% chances of ranging. And did I range? That was a freakishly hope for ever range, man. Right? So yes, the answer is yes, we ranged. So That is giving me 70% chances of entering, not 100, not 1,000, not 200, not 10, right? 70, which means we still have 70, 80, 90, and 100, right? So 30% against us, right? So what is happening here? Exactly the same thing. Let me reverse it so you can see it. We're coming down. We have a range. We have the V-shaped recovery. We have a high, not higher than previous range. Caveat, we could have a little bit of a higher high somewhere around here, which this would be the result of, if we zoom in a lot to see chunky candles, that would be the actual result. And let me make it a little more professional for you here. If I go sideways, come on, let's use just a box to this zone in here, that will be the absolute perfect result for my bull flag in this case to play out, which is not a bull flag, it's a bear flag, because remember this chart is inverted, you see? So what area are we looking at? Alex just mentioned that we're looking somewhere around 100K, right? Same area, very close. I'm looking at 93, just so you know. Why? Because I use my indicators in here. What do I have in here? I have a 101. And also then if I bring up my, oh, where is it? Come on, where were you? It was, there it is. I'm looking at a lower portion here to the next area of support, 94, 93 for the worst case scenario, right? So how do we trade this? You might be saying, all right, everything good and everything fine. Well, you look at your oscillator, and as long as we are above the zero line, where the price is going to go to. Why? Because OC Prime stock scalping is for any trade, right? Not just Bitcoin. Exactly. It's for any trade. In fact, Wyckoff was created long before Bitcoin was created, just so you know. But let me ask you, my friend, where are you? AGCT, are you around, brother? Let me know. This is a question for you, specifically for you. Just a little pop quiz. What happens if I have a flip of the ribbon in here? What are we expecting to happen with that ribbon? Let me give you the actual answer. We expect it to hover over above, right? Exactly, up. And then if the oscillator, the ribbon, it's up, it's above your zero line, what do we expect with the price action? To go up, right? Exactly. So that doesn't mean that we cannot have a little bit of a fake out like we had in here, and then have that sweep of the lows, create a double bottom, which is going to be fantastic, right? And that will let you just re-enter at your support. What is your support? Don't tell me that you don't see it. You just turn on your indicators, right? So easy peasy lemon squeezy. What is it? Right here, we have this. What is that? You can go here into your settings, and you'll find that that is a liquidity zone. Not only one, we have two of those, and then an order block. We also have it here. If I double click it here and we go down, you'll see that it is a support and resistance on local with proximity at 4 hours, right? So you just aim where the bulk of the thing is. You might be saying, all right, buddy, everything good and all, but you are giving me a box of entry of around 3%. That's what Alex makes in a day for an amazing trade, right? Well, then the point is that well, yeah, that's truth. But how do you refine it? What is the bulk of it? Where is the most concentrated thing? Where is the average of that entry? What is your flip of the ribbon? Right? You just look at those things as the price goes down. So you already know this is your entry box. That's not going to change. How do you pinpoint an entry? You pinpoint an entry just like we pinpoint this entry right here. Well, I was looking at, for example, going back down, we had this and this, right? We did not have this at the moment. Oh no, yeah, we did. And I was looking between this center and the trend line, so I decided to go with the half of it. We nailed the very bottom of it. Perfect. All right, not satisfied with that? Well, then just look at your different indicators. Let's go back to what you had already set up. Let's go here. Yeah, open anyway. Let's go here. And let's go to a less clutter area. I think this is gonna be, is this gonna be it? Yeah, this is just where I was expecting that head and shoulders, all right? So the point is, we also share with you the important classes. If you go to your Discord, you'll see that there's an important classes set up in here. In fact, I got sent it to you in a couple of other messages. Let me see if I can click it and open it. Oh, shoot. All right, not in there, not in here. 1 second. Can I copy the link and paste it? All right. I'm not gonna be logging in here because it's going to go in public, but whatever. The point is that you have to your left. Let me see if I can bring this up. Not sure if I can. No, you're not watching it. Well, whatever. To your left, you just click on that. You're gonna see a bunch of things, and one of those channels says, inside of important classes, it says the zero knowledge strategy, right? So you just basically configure your indicators as I do, and then you look for example, where are the bulk of everything. Another thing that you might be seeing in here is my VPVR. If this is still too chunky, just go ahead, go downwards in here, volume profile, levels, you go, I like it between 25 and 30. So let's go in 30, and then, wait for it, this is my first area of entry because it's a chunky area, and this is my next area of entry because it is a very low area. So I'm gonna be aiming here and aiming here. As you can see, my first entry right here, and if it fails, once again, look at that, the result of that same flag, right? So that's why we use a stop loss. So we get stopped out, we short it all the way here, and then we long it from there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? So that is what I got so far to kind of like give you the heads up on where to find some stuff, right? And how to configure it. Another question that you had, it is what are the coloring means? Everything that is red-ish, it is bearish. Everything that is green-ish, it is bullish, all right? You were aiming at your dynamic reactor and your candlesticks. I like it on trend static. Trend static is just bare bones, green and red. That's it. And that is when your trendy, if it's turned on, your trend is going to take over. But if you're out of pilot, then whatever you put in here is going to be ignored, right? But the candle highlights trend static means that as your trendy changes trend, your candle color is also going to be changing trend. If you change that trend static to gradient, which is the one that you showed me in here in the message, you're going to be of course seeing a gradient. So the stronger the red, the more bearish we are and the more prompt to a reversal we are. The less red we are, look at how that red becomes pink, how that pinks become, or fuchsia, that becomes pink, that pinks become purple, that purple becomes green. You see? So you have a gradient of cooling off areas, right? I don't like to use it, but those are how the cooling out works. On the green side, you're going to be going from green to gray to purple to pink to red. That's it. So hopefully that answers your question in there. Let me wrap it up in today's session with just saying fuck Ethereum. No, just kidding. Yeah, I mean, actually, fuck Ethereum, but let's take a look at Ethereum because we have an ongoing setup in here, and I think that will be worth to look at before we start wrapping things up. Here it is, man. And look at that. Finally, man, I'm profiting from Ethereum. Not only this
You're
beautiful
rich,
trade.
baby.
What is it?
You're rich, baby.
I'm rich, brother. Beautiful trading here. And then next beautiful trade. Again, and I want to double down in here, AGCT, right? So how do you do stuff with your indicators? Part of your question, right? The same process that I did. And let me just change this grading back because I don't know about you, but I like trend static. Feel free to do whatever you like, right? To do whatever makes sense to you, because at the end of it all, I want you to make money, and the best way for you to do it is the things that make sense with you, your eyes, and your brain. So basically, boom shakalaka. I was a little late. In this case, I did not front run neither the flip of the ribbon, but I waited for the ribbon to cross over the zero line. So I had some support, did not hit my alert. It was barely there, but I caught it right as I was moving with some volume strength. I decided to catch it here and then aiming for the top. Look at that. If I invert the scale, look at this. Coming down, little range, V-shaped recovery. I mean, we can do V-shaped recovery or even little range V-shaped recovery. And then this high, because we have a bullish flagging here, you see? So this is what could be happening with Bitcoin, right? Then the high, not higher than the previous range, and that give me what? 70% chances of ranging. Don't tell me that we're not ranging, all right? How do we define outer and inner range? Very easily with your predictive ranges or just manually with a trend line. Just look where we have the range, where we have the bulk of those hits, and where we have outstanding zones. Then you do the same thing here. Usually when we have the end of the range, right before the V-shaped recovery onto the next retracement, and we do the same. Areas of entries, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, right? As you can see, I caught it mine just slightly below my area of entry, right? Areas of exit, right here, and guess what's happening with my price action? I'm just waiting to exit. Guess where? At my area of exit, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? So let me clear this up. Perfect. And let's go and take a look at Litecoin. All right, Litecoin. Litecoin in here, we do the same thing. Remember, we're expecting either a flat bottom of bearish, flat pause of bearish continuation, which is the opposite. This chart is not inverted. Let me just go over here. This one is inverted. Sorry, let me just invert it back. There we go. And, or flat pause of bullish continuation, or breakout retest. The exact same thing that's happening with Bitcoin. Something that I'm going to be doing in here, it is that I'm going to be quick at changing my mind, all right? The indicators give you a lot of information that you can decide what to do, but they don't tell you the future, all right? That's something that we need to be clear about. But with that amount of information, you can predict several steps ahead in the market. I think this is where lies the power. It's not that you know. We need to humble down into the market, right? And agreeing that we don't know. But based on what we have learned in the past, we can expect something similar to repeat. So let me show you my process. In this case, I'm going to start turning on my stuff. In here, I have my volume reactor in here, really too far away, nothing that it really matters to me at this point. But right here, look at that automatic trend line, right? In here. So if I break out, what am I going to be going to? If I retest, what am I going to be going to, right? So if I break a retest, so with this, my entry is going to be here. So you see how I already got a plan and where's my going to be my stop loss and my support, and then give it a wiggle room. Where am I going to be hitting my stop loss or my first in my taking profits at where the bulk of the resistance is, TP1, TP2, TP3 and trailing, right? So I can go for here or maybe at the center of the bulk of it, right? Perfect, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. What if that what if that is not the case? Why? Because usually a trend line like this usually tends to break downwards, right? If that is not the case, what I'm going to be looking for, breakout, losing the zero line, flip of the ribbon, break. It's not about the breakout, it's about your retest, my entry for a short, aiming stop loss above my dynamic reactor, TP at the bulk of where everything is at, and easy peasy lemon squeezy. Do you see that I'm not just like, all right, it's going up, long it, F it. No. I'm not. What I'm doing here, it's forecasting how the price action is going to move based on the supports, resistance, volume areas, reaction areas, VPVR, so on and so forth, and of course my oscillator. And then based on that, I already have a plan. If it goes up, I long it, but I know where to long and where my stop loss is going to be. If it goes down, I short it. Easy peasy. I already know where I'm going to be shorting it and I already have a plan. So I just need the market to do a first move and then I take the next reaction, which is already planned, right? So I think that we're already ending the show. Alex, do you have anything else before we wrap things up?
No, I shared a couple of degen plays in the chat. If you guys are interested, I got Cock Inu and Pop Cat there. If you, I mean, both of them look very bottomy. Okay, I don't typically look at shit coins, but sometimes they look okay, man, and we all know they can move, right? So, I like the bottoming structure on both of them. So, if you go and you look at, go and look at Cock Inu. It hasn't moved. Go and look at and then Popcat. Very choppy token, but if you only put a little bit on it and you give yourself a big risk to reward, I think you can make a lot of money on something like that, up to the highs. But both look. You got a triple bottom inverse head and shoulders on Popcat looking to push up. If that thing can push, man, that's a 50% move. So 786. You guys do what you want with that. Besides that, we need to continue to push here. Really, Bitcoin needs to get above 106. I think some things are looking better than others. Let's put it that way. Like we got like things like Injective looking really strong lately. Sui's still looking fairly strong, bouncing off a key level right now at 317. I do like that as well. So can Sui bounce or not? We'll have to wait and find out. But some of these look good. So be safe out there. Right now, it's a very slow, choppy market, right? When something moves up slowly, like Bitcoin has it, I'm telling you, they're gonna hunt you. All right? In Canada, we go hunting and fishing, right? You don't want to be put, you get the big deer and you put it on your wall. You do not want to be a trophy for the market maker. So trade safe. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. You're muted. Still muted.
Thank you. So, guys, thank you so much for joining. Alex, thank you for the muting advice in here. Warning, sorry. And as always, guys, see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.